The reason most people experience this level of difficulty in using stories to drive lead generation is that for some reason and on the basis of research, most of the personalities do not match with the stories being told. For you to effectively tell stories that convert, you need to build a solid personality. Because sometimes people want to see you before they even buy. People want to hear you before they even buy. People want to meet you before they want to do business about whatever you're selling. So, if you're here today, and as much as it's important for us to create the awareness for effective storytelling, you also need to build a solid personality. For a solid personality, you need to be someone that no matter who connects to you, the person would never regret connecting with you. Most people do not understand what stories to tell. And when you don't understand what story to share as a business, sometimes it becomes a challenge. Sometimes you feel you're sounding like a broken record because to you, you are not being creative. You don't have new materials you're releasing every day. But this is the point here, ladies and gentlemen. You need to understand that storytelling is very open. It's not limited. Storytelling doesn't have just one style. You can tell one story in many ways. Now, the reason most people experience this level of difficulty in using stories to drive lead generation is that for some reason and on the basis of research, most of the personalities do not match with the stories being told. For you to effectively tell stories that convert, you need to build a solid personality. Because sometimes people want to see you before they even buy. People want to hear you before they even buy. People want to meet you before they want to do business about whatever you're selling. So, if you're here today, and as much as it's important for us to create the awareness for effective storytelling, you also need to build a solid personality. For a solid personality, you need to be someone that no matter who connects to you, the person would never regret connecting with you. Now, the second challenge that I've seen also regarding this is that most people do not understand what stories to tell. And when you don't understand what story to share as a business, sometimes it becomes a challenge. Sometimes you feel you're sounding like a broken record because to you, you are not being creative. You don't have new materials you're releasing every day. But this is the point here, ladies and gentlemen. There are diverse stories regarding this that leads to the lead generation. You have the stories about client to customer and customer to client. You have the stories about the vision of what your business is about. The vision is segmented into 7. You have the story about your struggles. You have the stories about the successes recorded by your clients. There are so many stories that you can put out right there. So the problem again here is that most people believe that storytelling is a system that takes a certain structure. And there is nothing wrong with thinking in that regards, but you need to understand that storytelling is very open. It's not limited. Storytelling doesn't have just one style. You can tell one story in many ways, and there are many ways to be able to dissect an experience and build it up into a story base. And the final challenge that I think that limiting most people from this experience has to do with, we call it in storytelling Zolinak. Zolinak is like is a local word, but I'll break it down for those of you who don't know what that means. What that means is that most people experience imposter syndrome. And no matter how you want to see it, imposter syndrome has the tendencies of effectively limiting your effectiveness. So that imposter syndrome has a way of putting you outside of the box, whereas you should be in the box. Imposter syndrome would also limit you from building the structure of your business. You listen to what Tanya was talking about. You come on a call with someone and you're asking the person, what exactly would you like me to do for you? That's a problem. So imposter syndrome in this regard is one of those problems that I've also seen that challenges effectual storytelling that leads to, businesses and opportunities converted. But the best way to manage this imposter syndrome is to put yourself to training. Necessarily, you may not need a coach to guide you. You can go on YouTube, you can go on Google, but specifically, you might need a coach to help you to understand specific dimensions and dynamisms to this. So those are just a few of my observations, but I'm very sure that there are many more observations regarding this challenge. But in all, I would like to reiterate my first point. You must build, and respectfully speaking, a solid personality for your story to make a meaning. If you tell powerful stories without a solid personality, you may never ever be able to convert your opportunities. You need to be solid to be able to effectively convert your opportunities and for your stories to be believed. Because I've seen people who tell stories and people doubt them. I've seen businesses that tell stories and people don't want to buy from them. So every business has a personality and every vision has a personality. So investing and solidifying your personality is as good as whatever product, whatever specific solution that you want to bring to the table. I'd like to say thank you once again, Mr. Obehi, for this question, and hope you got value from this response. Thank you.
Thank you so much, brother. I got a lot of value from that. I really appreciate that. It's a good thing that we're recording this room, because somebody that just hear one piece of it would really have missed a lot. But the room is being recorded. So in case you miss any part of it, you can watch the whole of it and listen to it again. So I appreciate this sharing here. So I want to pass the mic to the storytelling strategist himself, Jay Pasquale. Thank you so much for joining us, brother. Please share with us. Yes, you know the drill. Go on.
Yes, thank you, Obehi. It's good to be in conversation with you again. I had lots of gems today. I listened to everybody. I want to just kind of thank Eddie as well for his introduction of me earlier. He talked about me helping him with his background and with some of his graphics. What I want to say to that is, when it comes to brand building, visual storytelling is also key. And so that brand building includes all aspects of how to tell a story. And it's several layers. But to talk about today's topic, when it comes to lead generation, really, it's a vital component of any business's marketing strategy. It involves the identification and attraction of potential customers interested in any business's products or services. So storytelling serves as that cornerstone in this process. Especially in the digital market, right? Captivating the target audience, forging connections, ultimately prompting them to action, like Eddie was talking about, the CTA. All of that is important in a crowded digital market space, like they were talking about earlier, as a result of COVID. I think Nicola had brought that up. And it's true. So how do you differentiate yourself from that? Well, you tell a story. I've been in the business of working in contact centers. And if you're doing outbound calls, you have almost just a millisecond of trying to build rapport. And how do you build rapport? The easiest way is to kind of tell a story to be able to engage them quickly. So developing engaging narratives, right? That's important. There are 4 things really that you got to look up. And when it comes to kind of honing in on a message and building that rapport with an audience, developing engaging narratives is one. You got to craft compelling stories that's going to resonate deeply with the target audience. That's paramount. You got to go over the pain points, the aspirations, values, and these things are not just the business, but the founders and the people who have their vested interest in that business. So 2, you got to leverage diverse channels for interaction, right? Storytelling shouldn't be confined to that single platform. You got to look at different ways, like everybody was talking about, different ways of reaching that audience. How many channels? What platforms are you using? These are things that you have to consider when it comes to the modern era of storytelling, because how can we reach people? Where can we reach them? We got to reach them where they are. The other thing I think is important is you got to encourage active participation with those channels, like interactive content, right? Quizzes, polls, surveys, these are the things that are going to allow you to have a conversation without actually having a conversation. You're getting that feedback. Your people are telling you, yeah, I love what you're doing, but you're missing this, right? And the way you do that is with those things like quizzes, polls, and surveys. Interactive videos, right? These are the things that are going to engage people. And I think one other thing, I just want to be brief so that everybody has a chance, highlighting customer experiences and encouraging that feedback I just talked about. That's important. Incorporating real life testimonials, case studies, these things that you just got information from those quizzes, stories, and feedback. Storytelling adds that credibility and authenticity that everybody keeps talking about, right? Maybe overused, but it's what people are looking for in what we want as human beings, right? We want to have that connection. COVID was proof of that, and it's what drove people to the digital platforms that exist today and are flourishing today, because we all wanted to, 1, share our story, and 2, hear other people's stories, right? So those things are inherently part of us, and it's because of those things that endear us to brands.